Nope, I have absolutely no idea what our opponent is playing. Alright, good morning and welcome back to the Road to Better Chess. We are facing a lot of silly little difficulties, but thankfully we've got the game going. OBS is running. We do have an internet connection. Oh, D3. Alright, this could turn into a King's Indian attack. I'm not sure. Nope, I have absolutely no idea what our opponent is playing. So after this, I'm looking that this might be a bit uncomfortable, so I think we're going to go D5. And this is some kind of bird opening. Alright, but we have a general plan against this. We can go our reverse London again, I think. In this specific situation, we can also keep on pushing to deny these squares. Alright, so this is a move, this is a move, this is a move. We could also fianchetto. If we do this, obviously we're not going to fianchetto because then we're blocking our bishop in. We could also try to take out that knight. I mean, they would know to jump here perhaps, and then they could, if they're an aggressive player, they could just keep on playing like this, so maybe not that. Alright, let's just go for it. We're going to try and play a little bit faster this game. Last game we ran into a bit of time trouble, although it was also a bit more related to the fact that we just lost our connection at a critical time in the game. Very frustrating. Okay, so our improved move order is to just get all of this sorted out and then okay, here we go. Now we can play h6 after castling, and our opponent does have an improved attack going here, but I don't think it's anything to find home about just yet. Alright, so we just got to make e4. We can take, they can take, and we still have two defenders on that square, so I think we're okay. So now we can play c6, c5, or h6, and I think what we learned from our last game was that our attacking plan actually turns out to be a queenside press. So how do we, if we want to do a queenside press, then obviously c5 looks kind of critical to do. We're going to want to try and develop the rest of our pieces here just to get them out of the way. Otherwise, I think we can just start off with something small and then we can continue this way later on. It's slower, but it is fairly safe. In this case, they need to bring a rook over first. We could actually kick that knight. And if it jumps over here, we could take it. And then take again. It would actually win a pawn. Alright, so this might be a move to consider. I do also see they've already weakened their dark squares here, so that's something we can keep in mind. In that case, c6 might be good, so once they move the dark square bishop, if it's something like here, we can pop our check and take a pawn, but you know, we've got to be careful what happens there. So I think we're going to go c5. Having learned from the previous game, we're going to try and expand on the queen side here a little bit. h7, okay, queen over, interesting. Okay, I guess this does prepare this then, because now they have sufficient attackers on this square, so I think this might be our chance to press before they get this in. Obviously the point is that we're going to open up the diagonal, so we've got to be a little bit careful. Press, they come here. We can actually chase that knight all the way to the corner. Then I think we might want to just develop our knight somewhere first. So we can move our bishop. Okay, so we're going to press here. I think our opponent is playing a little bit slowly. They can take, but we will take with check. And there's no immediate way for them to crush us. They have to close off the diagonal in this case if they want to do anything, and then we can defend this pawn because they'll be opening up the light squares. We do also have this move later on just to block off this diagonal so we can move the rook. So I don't know this position. Oh, they break anyway. Alright, so who cares more about what they're gonna lose? I guess the point here is if we go here, here, then they've lost their break, but we also don't have any immediate ways to... Alternatively, we can take the knight, they take our bishop, and we can take another pawn. They'd open up their bishop that way. I don't think that's good for us, to be honest. Yeah, I think actually we're just going to go ahead and snap off this way. And then when that knight jumps somewhere here, attacking this square. Alright, but they have to pick up the pawn first. Alright, cool. So we have time for this. Alright, okay, we're attacking this pawn. That doesn't matter. We can come in and get some hanging, well, not hanging pawns actually. We can just transform the structure a bit. They'd probably end up taking. We take. And then we've got a obvious queenside press going. The e-file's opened up, but their queen is on it, which is importantly not the best square for the queen, right? So alternatively, we have this square as well to hit the bishop. But after they go back, I don't really see what we get from that. And I'm trying to block this up. So either we're going to develop or we're going to hit this bishop like this. And if they drop the bishop back, then I think we're just going to move our rook off the diagonal. So maybe this is the best move first. We have control of these squares right now. We don't have control of this square, so yeah, so I'm gonna do this. This knight jump is uncomfortable. We can go here. Okay, they're coming for us on the queen side potentially. Oh, on the king side. And in this case, we'd have to sack. This move now is quite fun, interesting as well. Oh, it's little man awake again. Alright, we're going to play h6 here. We can just drop all the way back. Keep our light square bishop in the game. Yeah, here we go. And now either of these moves we can counter by jumping or by moving. Interesting. Interesting. So doubling up here, we can defend this, and then obviously any kind of knight jump opens up the rook, so that's a bit uncomfortable for us. We could jump in, they take, we take back. We could protect this with our queen, but after the knight jumps here, it's kind of uncomfortable. We could protect the pawn on this side as well. If we go here and they take, then we could actually take back. They take with their queen, and then we take here, winning that pawn, also hitting that light square bishop, which is something we want to take care of. If we go here and they take first, then we maybe want to take with the pawn, but we're still losing the pawn eventually. Otherwise we just go here. That kind of threatens the same thing where we're just planning to do this pawn. So here, 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 here is an interesting move. I like our opponent's play, not for us unfortunately, but they are playing quite aggressively, which just seems kind of fun. This one runs into this, where we could hit the knight, they could protect it with either pawn. We could hit it again. It has to run away. If they take there, we take back, then we take again here. They're opening up our queen side a bit, which is unfortunate, but that could weaken these squares if they're not careful. Otherwise we do this. Where would they jump their knight? That's unfortunate. They've got a few jumps that are possible, and they would be double attacking our... So maybe they jump here, we take... If they take there, we take back, they take again, we jump over... Oh, this is messy. This is very messy. If they take back immediately, we're gonna prop open the... Then actually maybe this might be the best move originally. Queen takes... Maybe we just go here, hitting that pawn. Oh, we want to get our knight on that square. That's why that jump is nice. Otherwise, we just give a pawn. Here they take with something. They take here. We go. We get some counterplay. In that case, maybe this is nicer. Or we push. And if they take, that opens up our light squares a little bit more. We can double up to hit this. If we push and they take, we can attack this, and we need to bring our rook over just to defend this square here. We do give them this away. If they push past, that would be interesting and surprising. We still get this diagonal. We also get this jump. Actually, this would be an important jump to get in. We get our light square bishop on this diagonal. I'm actually really like pushing. I think we're going to go for it. Try not to spend all our time. But already the position is very interesting. Alright, so basically, when this pawn moves, we get this jump. We're hitting these guys, they're probably going to take, we're going to take back, which also threatens to trade off the light square bishops, and we would be able to hit here. And we probably want to get our queen over onto the c7 square just to get off the diagonal. Off the file, what am I saying? Yeah, we'll have to look at that position later on again. We are trying to launch this queenside attack situation. Always a fun move if you're gonna lose a pawn, if you can push it and create some complications instead. It looks like we might have caught our opponent a little bit unawares. Their options are do nothing, bring a rook for instance, take, push past. They could still try trade off our bishop, although in this case I think actually it wouldn't be especially good. They could jump the knight. Yeah, the knight jump obviously also opens up here, but in that case I think we might be able to, because if we take the knight off, we hit the bishop, we would end up getting this square here. Oh, little man is awake again. 1 second. And in the meantime, oh, white hasn't moved either. I wonder if we've surprised them or if they just kind of went somewhere. Maybe they were looking at all the other variations and now they need to take a second just to figure out what they want to do against this. Yeah, if they put a rook here, I think we might take once. Maybe the rook comes up. No, maybe the pawn probably comes up. And then we're going to move our queen out of the way. Even if we walk into some things here, we have to like, you know, move again. The knight will be a bit offside. Maybe they try and take, maybe they do this. I'd be kind of surprised by that though. Take here. We'd probably get a little in-between move to hit this bishop. It would have some squares to go to, I guess. Not as many. Here's an interesting square though. Alright, now this actually doesn't look so nice if we don't have 8-6 on the board. Now, these knight jumps, all something to think about. This one I don't think matters. Pushing the pawns on the king side seems very fun, but we should be okay. we can take once and then jump our knight, for instance. Here we can actually just take the pawn, I think. And once they have a pawn on f5, but it's isolated, we don't even have to take it back immediately. I don't think they can do much. It actually stops their queen and rook from having some pressure on the f-file. Yips. Alright. Well, wife will be happy because we are done and going back in a second. Alright, so first off, let's just do our own analysis quickly here. So d3 first is not something I know very well. d3 f4 is also not something I know very well. Knight f6 is just very flexible. So given that we don't know what's happening, if they go f4 directly, honestly I would probably end up playing into the same structure anyway. So it's nice to have transposable structures so you don't have to have a new idea every game. So I'm pretty happy with all of this. Still pretty happy with all of this. Here, I think is our first decision, c5 or c6. My understanding from our previous review was that it's good to get the c5 pawn rolling so that you start putting pressure on the queen side. We do also have this immediately, although this pawn is kind of weak. We could have also played h6 just to create the cubby for the knight, for the bishop. Although if they were going to take it, I would have actually happily given it up and then c6. Oh, but then I would have wanted to play c6 instead of c5. Alright, but we played, I think, a bit more kind of actively. Queen over, interesting. So queen over means that you don't want to do it with your... sorry. The queen over point is that you don't want to trade queens, because if you play the rook over here, I can trade. I mean, actually, then after you take back with the rook, you would lose a pawn. So queen e1 is probably just kind of principled. And here we have a choice about knight up or d4. Given what they did, I think knight up is better, because we would get the same situation, but we would get an extra tempo. Which we didn't have because we played here. So if we played here and they played up anyway, we would take... but then they would take with their pawn instead of with the bishop that they had to take with. Then they are double attacking, so we have to run back. Actually, then we would be in some serious trouble. We would have to trade off for that knight. We could also, we could here, we could take once and then go up. So we'll have a look if knight c6 was better, but actually now maybe a d4 is okay. Here taking. You know, I'm just not sure. Okay, in this case, obviously, I think they would take back because otherwise we would take the rook and make a queen. But then we have to take back here, and they can take it with check, which is very uncomfortable. Then they can double up against our bishop. They've got this coming. Oh, this is bad. It's definitely, this was better. And in this case, yeah, I think this is the move. Alternatively, maybe here we had to play the knight up immediately, and if they trade, we play up here, and then when they play their queen up, we have this. Or we have... Well, anyway, the knight's gone, so we could play here to defend the bishop. Yeah, actually that might have been good, but we played knight c6 first. Here they're coming on the queen side. Okay, so we h6, we're just going to get some... We could play h5, maybe even. h5 actually would stop all of this, because you would have to open up the file and get some more defense on g4. So actually h5 might have been a good idea too. Anyway, we play h6, which is just a standard way to pop our bishop into the cubby. And here they open up, here they put the pressure on our pawn, and we had to make a decision. This looks bad, this looks bad, this looks bad. Dropping the pawn, unfortunate. This looks a little bit iffy because we would just end up with an isolated pawn and down a pawn. Although, maybe, sorry, again, I'm a little bit slow to look at all of these things. Here. Queen takes. We could try hit this queen, preparing. Also, there's that c pawn that's quite weak. Even if they go all the way back, for instance, we can go back and attack the c pawn, and you can't move it because your d3 pawn is weak, so you'd have to defend it in some way or something. So we can look at this position. Maybe this move was okay, because the isolated pawn would give us attacking chances down the c file. Alright, which would go well with our, cubby light square bishop. Anyway, we decided to push, and in this position, if you push forward, my plan was to jump my knight here. If you take, what was I gonna do then? Jump here attacking this? Or same plan, I was just gonna do this first. I also at this point maybe then have take here, I could bring a take here, I can jump a knight, hitting this twice. Actually, now I'm a little bit unsure what I would have done. Maybe I would have ended up doing the same thing, just giving them the pawn. Maybe. Alright, so... Oh, did I zoom in by accident? There we go. Okay, so let's go into analysis then. Our opponent was actually slightly higher rated. Would have been an interesting game to finish with them, but that's what happens sometimes. So let's just look at what we got here. Alright. So this is the Mieses opening, which I don't think I know. So d5, so just taking the center as main. d5, e5, g6, c5, and then knight f6 is kind of the most sideliney good for white one, besides going into like our own silly pawn movement. So d5 is main. Let's have a quick look at what the main line looks like. What if they play f4 here? Because this was the kind of line they were going at, right? So this is what they were looking at. Knight f6. I mean, this just transposes into exactly what we had. g6, c5, e6, bishop f5, only 2 games. Okay. Alright, so maybe g6 then. g6, g3, bishop g, castle, castle. This is all still kind of how the game went. c5, still similar. c3 not. Queen e1 is the move they played. And then d4 and knight c6. Okay, let's go knight c6, e4, takes, takes, e5. And if you take, you've isolated your pawn, and we can win it back in some way, I guess. Let's quickly see. Take here, knight g4, correct. What if you put your bishop up here? Oh no, but I've got so many attackers, it doesn't matter. Alright, so I'm sorry, no, e5, knight c3, d4, beautiful square for the knight. Okay, and here they try to undermine us or not. Going back a bit, we also had d4 here as an option. Knight a3, c3, a4, c4. What if they played e4 anyway, which is what happened in our game. Takes, bishop takes. Oh, and immediately knight e5 is a move, knight c6 is a move, g4, knight e4 hitting here. So let's say knight c6, which is closest to what we played. And here they did something like this. Oh, we just got a great square. Okay, hang on. Didn't we have this then in our game as well? Oh no, they had this. Okay, we'll just double check that. Alright, so d5 main move, but we're going to transpose here. This is a transposition, and then we went bishop f5, which is not the main move for most people. Bishop f5, g3, e6, bishop g2. Okay, we're transposing a little bit here. Bishop e7. Yeah, it's kind of the main idea here. And castling. Yeah, okay, so this is actually master levels. Did pretty well. Knight c3 first. h6. Okay, so they went h6. Queen e1. c5 is a move here. Bishop h7. e4. Don't take. Do take. So if you don't take, Interesting. You just keep the pressure here. Okay, if you do take, then you oppose the aggressive knight. Knight C. Okay, interesting. Alright, so we did C5 directly, which is no longer in the master's database, and we're not transposing. Alright, so this is different. Let's go over to top leeches. We went C5. Okay, C5 here looks pretty good in the top leeches side. 2 games won at least. H6 main, knight BD7, C6 knight. Yeah, okay, so C5 in this list, I would say it looks pretty good. C6 but also fine. C5, Queen E1, Knight C6, D4, Bishop G, H6, and A6. Okay, so it looks like all of these kind of preparatory, moves did a bit better than the main ones for black. We went D4, E4 anyway, and dropping the bishop, moving the bishop was actually the most popular option here. We did take though, take Knight C6. This is actually our exact game, and now we've actually transposed into some other games. Alright, they did go H3. So they wanted to put their queen there, but they know that this is going to be a problem. So H3 first, and we went H5. H5 is a move, Queen F2. Okay, so then they just don't push, but they just keep on attacking. And then Knight D7 was the move here. Alright, we can see if that is a suggestion again in our game. So we went H6, G4, Bishop H7, Queen F2, Knight d5, Queen d6, Bishop b6. Okay, these are all moves we considered. We ended up playing c4, which they just ignored. Let's just see what happened in these games. They took ones. Take with the queen. I didn't actually even consider taking with the queen, but now you're at least defending here, which is important. What happens if you do this? You take that pawn, and apparently you're slightly better. Alright, what if you play Queen d6? Queen d6 seemed like the mistake, but maybe not. Alright, now I'm just not defending it anymore. Takes, Queen takes. Ah, then I get this pawn, which I was looking at the whole time. Yeah, yeah. And there are some potential checks here. So if you, like, for instance, want to jump out to unmask me, it doesn't work. Here you die, here you die, bad word. Here you go. That would just be a um, massively silly move. This looks kind of silly as well. This one, yeah, a lot of these I could end up just moving my queen, somewhere here, or trying to oppose you here. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Now to run the analysis to see if we were super off in the general kind of high level situation. But also it looks like in the Mieses attack, we just didn't have quite the main idea. So fianchettoing is the primary plan, right? Fianchetto, everyone castles. And c5, east, b6. I'm unsure what I would have played here. I still kind of want to play my bishop up, like... Yeah. d4 even. Knight bd to get into these squares. c5. Knight c4, knight d5, blocking up the story, taking... Knight takes... Oh, this is an interesting over overworked bishop. We give away our fianchettoed bishop, or we get an exchange for it. Might be worth it. Alright, the engine says everything was completely equal still, although the Mieses attack gives black a tiny advantage if you go c5 directly. Let's look at the c5 line quick. c5, g3 is what they did. Again, this just transposes, so big difference. Alright, so maybe it was all good. in this position, after playing c4, taking bishop here, yeah, I was going to do this, take, take, maybe here. Okay, we hit some pawns. Okay, so this was actually still equal. Giving up a pawn wasn't that bad, thankfully. But I don't know if we have a Mesa attack in our studies actually, so maybe this is something quickly just to add a little bit about. Let's see how I spell that. Mieses. Mieses. In the Scotch, no. In the Scandi, no. Okay, it looks like we just don't have a study for it. And this won't fall inside anything, would it? I mean, this does look like it could be a Dutch, a bird, you know, like here. Let's quickly see. In the bird, we had From's Gambit as like the answer. Yeah, what if you go d5? Is d3 a move? It is. This is still the Dutch variation though. Knight f6, knight f3. Okay. Alright, we're gonna add the maces to our studies as well, but I think for now we're gonna call it. A little bit of a bummer, but it looks at least like we had the right idea. The opening was solid, although we were a little bit unsure, and we learned about a new opening. Pretty good. Alright, so see you next time. Take care, and always keep on improving. Bye bye.